They just don't know. I guess it's just a thing on here that when it when it comes up, it comes up. Oh, I don't know when it's gonna come up, but it's all good. It just is gonna be all good, juicy, juicy good. Um, this is different from other other. Am I live yet? Um, okay, that says I'm live. Then is I don't know if I'm live on. Okay, maybe. Okay, I'm gonna say good morning. I'm going to say good morning and act as if I am, because I can't tell. Uh blessings to you. Happy Friday. I I don't know. I honestly, I one of these days I'm going to be so skilled at this I won't even acknowledge the fact that I am trying to um go online. I won't even acknowledge it because it'll just be smooth operator. I don't know why music just does that to me. Music is a thing that so this morning I was listening to AS by Stevie Wonder. Oh my God. And just to feel that as it was showering down over me, always. And so I don't know about you, but if you've got one of those devices in your house or whatever, it's nice to turn it on and tell it to play something like Stevie Wonder. They're always listening. So you can do it from wherever you are, play As by Stevie Wonder or whatever it is that gets you gets you like riled up and excited about the day to come. I know for me, there are several songs, and I am always on to one of those. So before I played As by Stevie Wonder, I played ZZ Top's Friday is My Day, right? And one of the folks, one of my dear classmates and a viewer of This Morning Glory show, she talked about this song, Friday is My Day. And I listen to it on Fridays because even though Friday is not like a big deal for me, just like Mondays are not big deals for me. I sort of ease into either one of those. It feels like I got a lash or a hair or something in my eye. But I ease into either of those, just smooth, like a smooth operator. So it's not like it's a big deal. I'm on, in case you didn't know, Monday through Saturday at 8-ish. 8-ish. I got here today at like 8:15. Not to say that I haven't been sitting here trying to figure out or get my all of this stuff going. Oh, I gotta work on that because I'd love to just say 8 o'clock and I'm bam, so then I could say at 9 o'clock peace out, right? That would be great. And so what I do is an hour here. And so it would be nice, right? So anyway, I come in here, and whether I'm listening to Sarika's recommendation, Friday is My Day. I listen to that. Friday is my holiday. Anyway, I listen to that, and that's just like one of those things like, ooh, it's good, 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 good. And then on any other day of the week, I might listen to any number of things, and Rise Up. Oh, that's good, good. Andra Day. And I have a playlist. I got a playlist. And so I don't know what it is, but there is something magical about getting dressed and getting your groove on as you're getting dressed. And, just, it's good. It's good. It's good. So that's how I start out my mornings. And I love, love, love when I'm able to, whatever it is, if it's Stevie Wonder, or if it is Andra Day, or if it's ZZ Top, or if it is just any number of people. It's just, ooh, it's so good. It's so good. So I hope that you have something besides me that gets you in the mood for the day, that sets the tone for how you expect your day to go. There is a wonderful thing about setting your intentions even before you embark on something. Sometimes it's the night before. Sometimes it's when I'm on my cushion doing my meditation. But whatever the case is, it's just like, let this be one of those glorious days, one of those glorious times. And, I bless myself. So whoever hears me, thinks about me, looks upon me, may you be blessed in doing so. And so that's my vibe. That's my vibe. So greetings to you. Happy Friday. Whatever that may mean for you as you embark upon this. I hope that this is all you desire and so much more. I got some stuff that I want to talk about today. And it's not that I planned it out. I, of course, don't have a plan. But while I was writing in my book, we're always like, that's part of my morning piece, is that I work on my book. And so while I was writing in my book, something came up and I was like, oh, I got to talk about that a little bit. And I really kind of want to get, I don't know if I want to say, get some more organization to what I'm talking about on any given day. Oh my God, I hope my glasses are back. Charles at C Eyewear. I go to C Eyewear. I got my glasses from C Eyewear. Or one pair of those, my favorite pair, that black and gray pair that I always wear. I turned them back in to get new lenses put in them. And these are some glasses that I just got as, because another of my favorite pair of glasses. When I get glasses, I usually get them, I hope, like everybody else does, because you fall in love with them. So one of my favorite pairs of glasses broke, and I was just looking for a frame that would fit the pair of glasses that I had, the lenses, because y'all, we pay a lot of money for lenses. So, and so I got these things, and I don't particularly like them, okay, but they fit the lenses that I had. So I got the lenses put in here. So I've been waiting patiently for my glasses to come back. And it's going on 3 weeks now. And it's like, come on, where my glasses? Come on. And he asked me when he took them to change the lens because I needed to update my prescription. He asked me, can you do without these glasses for? And I was like, yeah. I mean, aesthetically, that is what the issue is aesthetically, I want my glasses because I like my glasses. And y'all, I had those glasses for a couple of years before I even wore them on a regular basis, because there was a part of me that was just saying, oh, these things are so, forward. And so now that I'm in love with them, it's like, where are my glasses? Anyway, I have 2 new pair of glasses that are coming, and whoa. It's just crazy how much when you start getting all the bells and whistles, whether they're progressive lenses and whether they change when you go outside and all of this other stuff. Yeah, I'm ready for my glasses back. Good morning, Derelia. How are you, darling? It is so fabulous to see you here. Thank you. You guys know that one of the things about being on my desktop and doing this from here is that I do not get notices that say to me who's watching me at a given time. So when I acknowledge people, it's because they have typed something in the window. And I always appreciate getting messages when you type them in the window or not. You know, it's all good. It's not necessary for me to know who is here. I feel you. I feel you. I feel good. Good morning, Sandra. And thank you for subscribing on Facebook as well. How are you today, darling? I feel good. Like I should. I haven't even had I had coffee so far today, but I have not had orange juice yet or anything like that. So I don't know what all is part of your routine, but I have 1 cup of coffee per day, and it is half calf, Folgers half calf, with a touch of cream, and I drink that while I'm doing my journaling. So I have not had anything else yet today, and it's all good. It's all good. But anyway, I feel good, and I hope you feel good too, whatever that means for you. Whatever that means for you. So, look, I am going to do my normal, which is to share with you the daily guides from the Science of Mind book, because these are so rich. And Raymond's was good yesterday. It is always good. And so I'll read his after I read Marilyn Louise Leo, Reverend Dr. Marilyn Louise Leo. And then I will read and share Raymond's, because we are coming to the end of his. And unless he stirs up some new stuff, I'm sending him some good vibrations, right? Unless he sends me something else, we'll just go with, that'll be that for this. I'm so grateful to have access to stuff. And I love. I have been reading several books. I do this thing of reading simultaneously. One of the things that, let me shameless local plug here for the people who live in the city of Cleveland. Mayor Bibb, our new mayor, the young man, he implemented or has this thing where he is encouraging like 1 million minutes of reading or something like that. And so to that end, they had this big kickoff downtown and gave away all these free books. Good morning, Cedric. How are you? It's been a while. But he gave out all of these free books. And along with that, there is an app that you can download on your phone to track your reading time. And so we're already into day 6 of this challenge, because it goes on during 2023. We're already into day 6, and I have not logged my reading yet. But trust me, who was raised by a dog, which is really good about childhood trauma, and it's been amazing. The book also that is by, I don't think I've listened to her in the last couple of days, but also working on, what is the book? That Call Us What We Carry. And that is by Amanda Gorman. You recall that she is the poet that delivered the poem when Biden came into office. Young woman, and just amazing. And this book, Call Us What We Carry, is a book of poetry, but it goes into, it's so deep in talking about not only what we've carried from our past, but what we carry because of the pandemic or because of that we are in. It's a really good thought provoking book. What Happened to You by Oprah Winfrey. And many of you know that I was like singing the praises of that because it was real. Honestly, I love Super Soul Sundays, but I don't necessarily watch it. I was not a big fan of the Oprah show. I wasn't. Not because I didn't like, I don't like daytime TV, period. I'm not a TV person by being able to watch something on Origin, and it's part of the Witcher type of what it does though for taking out of it's really interesting. Some of these shows, they talk about race and culture in the same way. So if you're talking about elves, they have elves, they have fairies, they have dwarfs, they have different types of things, but it's still talking issues, the cultural clashes that we have without necessarily addressing it from a black, white, or Hispanic, Latinx kind of feel. It takes it out of that scenario and puts it in something else that you can look at and see and get a better understanding of through that. So I love shows that are like that kind of do a what we call situations differently, even about what informs like a clan or a tribe, like what back issues, what backstory do we have that brings us to this point, and how do we honor what it is that we do. Anyway, it's only 4 episodes and I really enjoyed it. I actually stayed up like late watching that, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not a big TV person, but there are certain things that I do like to watch and do like to bring different meaning. Come to think of it, maybe I'll talk to Dr. Brown about that and see if he'll watch that, and then we discuss it, because it was good. It was good. Anyway, let me read this, and I get to read and then I get to read Reverend Raymond. So let me do the one that is current for today. And this is for Friday today, January 6th, 2023. And it is called The 3 C's of Leadership. The 3 C's of Leadership. And her first quote is taken from Roger Teal. And it says, "It's about direction, not perfection." It's about direction, not perfection. That was good. Good. About direction, not perfection. Okay, and from Ernest Holmes of Creative Law of Mind. From the Science of Mind. Ernest Holmes from the Science of Mind. He says, "Whatever the mind holds to and firmly believes in forms." Now, let me say that again, because this is not to be read like that. It says, whatever the mind holds to and firmly believes in forms a new pattern of thought within its creative mold. As whatever thought is held in mind tends to take outward form in a new creation. This is the secret and the whole secret of the creative law of mind. Now, I'm hoping that I paste that in a way that you understood it better. Whatever you hold in mind, if you get a picture of it in your mind. Let me tell you guys about this right quick. I don't want to get away from what he said, but there was at one time a lot of people who were doing Their book called The Secret, and then there's been other things that talk about that everything that is first is in the invisible realm before it becomes in the visible realm. That's a Bible scripture. But so there's this thing that says that when you hold a thought in your mind, like form it, give it body, breath, and wings, like, not just, it's almost like being an architect, but doing it in here before then it has to out picture out there. So there was a whole like push where people were talking about things about how to get a husband or a maid or something like that. I don't know if you remember this, but one of the things that they started talking about was this thing about, clearing out room in your closet, right? Or taking, which I'm bad for. In my bed, I don't know, because I read, right? I'm making no apologies for this, but in my bed, sometimes my whole other half of my bed that I don't sleep on will have books and all of this other stuff piled up on it, because when I get in bed, one of the things that I do is, that's the way to fall asleep really quick, is open up a book, right? And so I will also tell y'all that I learned in college, like I would study and study, cram for a course, but nothing stuck until I slept on it. So sometimes I would literally take my books to bed with me and sleep with my books, like learning came through osmosis as well. I don't know what the deal with that was, but there was something about going to sleep with it that did something. It was like the secret sauce or the magic that worked while you were asleep. And so I would, sometimes I lay a book on my chest. Sometimes I put it under my head. Sometimes I just wrap my body around the doggone book and sleep with it. That's what I did in college. I've learned some stuff about that now, about how you can learn something, but until you sleep on it, it doesn't necessarily solidify. Not for me anyway. And so that there's a powerful thing that happens to your mind or your understanding or whatever it is when you do that. So in this, during this, I don't know what how it was, but people would say that you got to clear off a section on, if clear off the space where you have something that you want to appear. I wanted a printer. I wanted one of those, one of these office things that got all the, the bells and whistles, like the printer, the scanner, the fax and all of that stuff, a 5-in-1, I think they called it. And I wanted one of those back in the day. So I prayed about it and I cleared off the desk, put a little sticky thing down there and said, this is where my printer is going to be. I shopped for the one I wanted. And then I forgot about it. And sure enough, when I was cleaning this thing off not too long ago, and I moved the printer to a different spot, I thought, oh, look at that. That was my prayer work. When I wanted a new car, I took my car that I had and I parked it around the corner, because you could park there all night without getting a ticket. But I stopped parking my car in the garage because I wanted another car there in that garage. And so I parked it around the corner, and I don't know, but I got another car. I don't know how long it took on that occasion. But one of the things that people say is to start cooking for two, right? If you want to bring somebody in your life, set a plate for them at the table. That's what a lot of people would do that. And it was like, I'm going to now, so I get it in mind. And then look, don't set me no plate though. But I'm just telling y'all how this goes. Not me. Just, this is, because there's a thing about, when people pray about specifics, right? Like it's got to be this person or it's got to be that person. To some degree, I used to call that spiritual coercion, trying to make it seem like it had to appear the way that you think it ought to appear. Pray for what you want and let the universe deliver it to you. Because sometimes you are praying for something that is way far beneath what God wants for you. And so when you start like sending your energy and just get a general idea about what you want. And so it is this thing he's saying right here, whatever the mind holds to and firmly believes in, informs a new pattern of thought within its creative mold, as whatever thought is held in the mind tends to take outward form in new creations. I'm always, and sometimes is what I say is be open. Be open. Sometimes we are just so, not that, not you, not this, not you. We're always thinking about what we don't want rather than focusing in on what you do want. Stop trying to tell God how to be God. I'm just saying it that way because, that's in essence what we do. We want it to, to look like, act like, smell like, be like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Why not trust? Why not trust that the highest and best, even better than what we can conceive of, that you can conceive of, is on its way without you putting your little 2 cents in it. So anyway, let me get back to it. Let me read what Reverend Leo wrote instead of me trying to go take a riff off on, which is what I do. Y'all know this is what I do. I go take a riff off on the quotes that they do, whatever. So, it's about direction, not perfection. That's what the first one was. Okay. So here's what she wrote. And I riffed off on something that wasn't even the topic that she was talking about. Her topic is the 3 C's of leadership. Okay, so let me read there. There are 3 C's of leadership for the military: character, competence, and courage. What do these qualities of leadership look like in everyday life? That's what she's asking. So character, number 1, she says, I believe character includes honesty, being truthful even though it may be uncomfortable. It also includes integrity, doing something without hesitation because the urge to help comes from your inner being. Character is what she said. This morning it was so funny because when I was writing, this is a little different or off the thing. But this morning as I was writing, I was sitting there and I was thinking about the number of people who, get this, I get people who always tell me, like, Sandra, you got the gift of gab. You could talk, which I can, right? You could talk and not, no notes, no nothing. This is how I am. And they're always like saying, oh, that's such a good, oh, that's like a gift or a blessing. And what I thought about is that those people that say that to me, I'm just saying, but those people that say that to me wasn't around back in the early 90s when I was trying to get a radio show, right? They didn't see me standing out in the rain with an umbrella, asking people, do you need a guest? Do you need a guest? Can I be a guest on your show? Right? They didn't see those moments. They didn't see that when I got a radio show that sometimes I would have to talk for, half hour, blah, blah, blah. And I would, make notes, write notes and everything to myself to remind myself that this is that. I mean, so from the early 90s up until today, I have talked. I talk. This is what I do. And so the idea that this was like, oh, just something that just kind of came out of the heavens and came down on me. Oh, sure. But this has been something that has been forged and crafted over the years. This is reading hundreds of books. This is standing up in front of people when I don't know. You learn how to just allow spirit to flow through you without, and how to hear it, right? How to hear it without getting in the way. So this thing of just, like stuff is supposed to happen. Yeah, we develop over time certain gifts. We develop things. And so this idea about personality or character, things like that, you get that through doing. It's not just like, oh, it's just, I wasn't given that gene. You got to develop it, right? So her first thing is character. Character. She says she believes it includes honesty. Yes, of good character, right? Okay. Competence. Competence is her the next one. She says, to me, competence means having the training and knowledge to do the job before you. Training and knowledge to do the job before you. That's interesting. Training and knowledge to do the job for you. Okay. I could go with that. Competence is, okay. Courage is her third one. Courage is having the courage. Having courage is having the wherewithal and faith in yourself to help or support another. Be willing to move forward, take a risk, and admit when you are wrong. Okay. So then she goes on to say, I think that there are more than 3 C's. Let's add capability to our list, which is much like competence. But capability means you know what to do at any given time, means you know what to do at any given moment and how to do it. And you're willing to learn more. Okay. Then let's also add capacity, she says. We all have the capacity to accept others as they are and know how, with kindness and love, to communicate and assist. When we're open, we're available to learning and accepting good. Okay. You may say, I wish I fulfilled all these traits. Remember, each of us has the capacity to learn and accept the truth of who we are. Perhaps your talent is in a different area than you are presently living, one where you would feel more competent or be more fulfilled. Just because you're doing what you've always done or are good at doesn't mean it's fulfilling your innermost desire. Okay. And so her affirmation that goes with this is while creating a new pattern of life, I accept the truth of my being and live a life of love, joy, and prosperity. Okay. It's really interesting because sometimes from listening to and reading some of the books that I read, you even Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown was really good at getting down under some of these ideas, some of the things that you might read about capability, capacity, competence, courage, all of these things to get a better understanding of what it entails and how those things inform how we show up. Is it just what she said or is it more? And so it's, okay, so the 3 C's of leadership is what she shared. And good. All right, so that was from Dr. Leo. All right, so now I get to read Reverend Raymond's. And I'm opening up my different Kindle. But it didn't come on. Woo, okay. Oh, it's saying it's got 1%. Which means that I need to plug in. And give me a second on that. I'll read Reverend Raymond's in a second. Once it charges up a little bit enough for me to swing it around here. So, but I do want to share with you. So, a number of things I want to share. Yesterday I mentioned a quote and I couldn't quite recall it. It was out of my meditation for yesterday from A Course in Miracles. And it said that perception is a mirror. Perception is a mirror, right? So when you think about this idea of the mirror, perception as a mirror. And it was really interesting because then it goes on to say, perception is a mirror, not a fact. Ooh, what we see, what I see, is my state of mind. What I see is my state of mind. What you see is your state of mind, reflected outward. So this idea of getting a picture in your consciousness, a picture in your mind, and then it is projected outward. And regardless as to what you are seeing, you're seeing based upon your perception. You're bringing meaning to the moment. Now, this was so good because yesterday, as I read Dr. Perry's book, The Boy Who Was Raised by a Dog, it was really interesting because he got to this point and he started talking about this idea about memory. And he says memory is a really tricky thing. He says because the moment that it's recalled into not necessarily the space you were in at the time of the incident, but the space that you are in when you recall the memory. So, and then he says, and because every time we call it up, we may be in a different space, the story might change slightly because of the space that we are in. Let me give you an example. Say, for instance, you are in a place where you are depressed. It could be that you're not feeling like life is giving you what you want. You may be feeling shut out for some reason. You could be feeling any number of things. And then you have a thought about something that happened in the past. He says the memory is tricky because when you bring up the thought that happened in the past, it'll be tainted and colored by what you're experiencing in the present. So say, for instance, you have you're in a space, a funk. Oh my gosh. I mean, let me tell y'all about this. I remember having the thought one time, something happened to me. And later when I brought it to mind, I started developing all of this like, so I want to tell you, this was about the time that I was raped, and at a certain point, there was this thought that came up in mind when I reflected back on it, that instead of it being about the one person, the one man who did the actual violation, my mind started building correlations and conspiracy theories. And I convinced myself, because of the dark place that I was in, that there were other people that were in on it. Like I was being set up. And so I had applied these actions to other people that I felt could have interceded on my behalf. And so all of a sudden it went from one perpetrator to being 5, right? because that was where my head was at the time. It couldn't just be that this was opportunity and that this person did that, blah, blah, blah. It was a setup. I had in my mind, fixed in my mind, that it was a setup. The mind does a funny, interesting thing. And so because I was in that dark space and I had this notion that I was set up, I breathed life into it, and I was angry at people who had nothing to do with it. Now, of course, fast forward, you get to another space, and then what you realize is that, wait a minute. Is that real? Is that possible? And so every time you recall your incident, depending upon where you are, you might start, I know we all do this. We sometimes get angry about stuff that at the moment, it didn't even seem like we weren't offended by it. It was no offense. It was no nothing. But when we bring it up in our minds, we might apply different things, whatever it is. We're applying different perceptions, or what's the word I'm looking for? Motives. We're applying different motives to an event that may have happened and been totally okay. But now all of a sudden, what did they mean by that? I wonder why she said that. And we start, memory is funny. It is according to our own perception about things. So if you recall something and you're in a better space, you are better able to be more generous with your perceptions about what happened. And so I found that was a wonderful insight that I received from that book, because I often wonder about how sometimes things that seem on one hand to be very toxic in my thinking, then at a different time I see the fullness of it from a different space. And so each time I am healing, I often talk about that we got to pray for the people of the past that it happened to. So like, I want to pray for my 17-year-old self. I want to pray for that girl. And so, there is something beautiful and wonderful that happens when we allow ourselves to be more generous, or to even, the meditation that I pulled this from is let me see with the eyes of Christ. Let me see with the eyes of Christ. And so if I surrender to that, like, let me, not with Sandra's eyes, because Sandra's eyes might, you know how you see those superheroes that got the X-ray vision, or they can burn you with their eyes. Not with those eyes. I want to see with eyes of love. And so it's, let me see with eyes of Christ was the meditation that went with that. And I think it's such a beautiful idea. Try that on for size. I mean, and there's a thing that sometimes we want to hold tight to our perception. We don't want to change. We don't want to soften. But wonder if that is the whole crux of what it is that we're here to do. To allow our experiences to grow us, right? Not to remain like, I gotta be mad about this forever. No, come on. The anger is hurting you. It's not hurting the other person. Let this be transforming. Let it renew your mind. Let it have a different way of seeing things. And I tell you that is good. Okay, I got 7% now. I could read Reverend Raymond's could read it. I could read it. I could read it for y'all. And I'm gonna plug this back in. I hope to remember to plug this back in. So, woo, y'all. I tell you, Friday is my day. Okay, so let's see. Let me just hit this little thing here. For some reason, okay, now I'm down to 6%. Let me read this thing so quick. Read it. Here we go. Let's see. Okay, so am I having some lag time? I don't know. Are you guys? It's 9 a.m. Yes, see with Christ's vision. Okay, so here we go. Destination unknown. That is the Reverend Ramont's thing for today. Destination unknown. I like it already. Okay, so here we go. Yay. Destination unknown. And his first quote comes from Alice in Wonderland. That's so juicy. Lewis Carroll's book, Alice in Wonderland. The Cheshire Cat says, "Then it doesn't much matter which way you go, Alice." No, doesn't much matter which way you go. And Alice said, "So long as I get somewhere." The Cheshire Cat responded, "Oh, you're sure to do that, if only you walk long enough." Good quote. And from Ernest Holmes, he says, this is the quote: "The ultimate goal of life does not mean that we shall ever arrive at a spiritual destination where everything remains static and inactive. That which to our present understanding seems an ultimate goal will, when attained, be but the starting point for a new and further evolution." There's nothing static, nothing stays the same. It is always constantly in motion. And that is from What Religious Science Teaches. Ernest Holmes said that. All right, so this is what Reverend Raymont wrote. I am looking here because it seems as though I have one of my things is freezing, and I don't know if it's the case that it's actually freezing or not, but I see that it is freezing on my end, and I don't know what it looks like on yours, but I will continue to move forward and just trust that it all comes out in the mix. I could sing a song to that. Get it in the mix. Okay, so here's what Reverend Raymont wrote. "God is everywhere, and so it has nowhere to travel from or to travel to." If God is everywhere, God doesn't have to travel anywhere, right? It has nowhere to travel from or to travel to. That's what you do, not what God does, right? When we plan vacations and destination weddings, it is our intent to remain there. Is it our intent to remain there forever? Obviously not. That would be called relocating. On any given day, we have several destinations, each one yielding to the next. We begin with destination number 1, the bathroom, followed by the kitchen, then the reading nook, the mailbox, the office, etc. Why then do we think that there is one destination for these individualized expressions of God? Let me read that again for the people in the back row. Why then do we think that there is one destination for these individualized expressions of God? A world that works for all is not a final destination. Enlightenment is not a final destination. Health, wealth, love, awakening to our spiritual magnificence is not the end. Each is simply one experience and expression in the eternal expressing of spirit. You want a cabbage patch on that for a minute? Health, I'm going to read it again. Health, wealth, love, awakening to our spiritual magnificence is not the end. Each is simply one experience, an expression in the eternal expressing of spirit. All right, so many plan their vacations while few enjoy the planning. Many look forward to the arrival itself while fewer enjoy the journey. The journey is a part of the process, part of the experience. Much like the experience of waiting for the weekend to have fun, relax, and party, for some reason we are conditioned to put off our joy. It is a work week, so we have to wait. You can enjoy your life after the kids move out or after you retire in 60 years. There is no logical reason to postpone living joyfully. There is no logical reason to postpone living joyfully. The destination, he says, and the journey to the destination are one and the same. Joy, wonder, love, and peace are all available right here and right now. I am that I am. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. You know, sometimes this stuff will just fall flat on people, right? They don't, sometimes you don't necessarily get it because sometimes it's not time for you to get it, right? Let me see if I can put that another way. There is a evolution that our souls go through, all right? And for some, that it seems like the hamster wheel. We got our grandma's and our parents' religion, and it hasn't changed over the years. It hasn't we haven't had a comprehensive reawakening in our spiritual lives. So sometimes stuff like this just kind of falls flat. But if you have been told and believe that God is everywhere equally present, this idea that, I'm waiting on, or, I got to get to, or this idea about time as well as movement and motion is a thing of our physical lives and not necessarily the truth about God's life or what God is. And so there is, if we just remain in this, when we talk about eternality, if we just remain in the eternal moment of now and stop thinking about destinations and this, that, and the other, and in this eternal moment of now find our peace, love, joy, happiness, health, wealth, the right relationships. If we just in this space claim it now, how good is that? How good is that? Oh, like let me have joy now. Let me not worry about what ain't right or in the right place or what I didn't get or what I didn't have. All of that stuff now is what I have. I am right now. Now, faith, right? Now, and now, and now, and now, and now, and now. The affirmation that he put with that was, each arrival, goal, moment of my life is infinitely open to new and wondrous, amazing adventures. I know I needn't see the whole staircase. I simply take each new step. Blessings, blessings, blessings upon that. Just don't wait until you get the whole picture. Just start stepping. Keep on stepping. And then just in whatever space you're in. How to find joy. Oh, let me plug this back in. How to find joy in every and whatever space you find yourself in, so that you are not sitting there waiting on the, well, when I find Mr. or Mrs. Right, or when I lose this weight, or when I get this education, or when I get discovered, when I get this, don't none of that, right? Right where you are right now, the joy is available to you. It's a choice. The Dalai Lama said, happiness is a decision that we make. It's a choice. You can choose to, my girlfriend, she used to say that the idea of the glass is the glass half empty or the glass half full. I had never really considered all of that stuff. She said, but you see it as is always half full and full at the top, whether you got a full cup or not. It's like, yes, in all things learn how to be grateful, how to just praise raises things, right? And so just being in that mindset, I think, is a powerful place to be. So and I'll tell you, there is work to be done, right? Because sometimes, we all didn't start out in the same way. Sometimes we have to recognize where we have our own levels of deficiency, and then work on those levels of deficiency that you see within yourself. If, say, for instance, I saw my deficiency in, I've gone through, I don't know how many things. Let me kind of go where I said I was going to go. Back in when I first got out of college, I'll put it that way. When I first got out of college, I was kind of just like any other recent college grad. I was struggling and looking for where my place was. What was I to do? And at the time, I was working for, I do believe, a temp agency, and I got a temporary assignment down at Cleveland State. I worked in the Office of Minority Affairs for a few months. And it was really an interesting, dynamic. It was one that I had not been in before. And I was there because there was, I do believe her name was Wanda. She was a woman who was at the Office of Minority Affairs, and she drove up to New York with a carload of students, and something happened on the highway. Cars skid off the highway, and all of them were killed. And so it was a very tender time in the office and on the campus. Because they were struggling with that loss. And then they put me in the midst of that. And so I found myself making friendships. It was where I first met Adam, this guy named Adam, and I first met Jerry, and there was a lot of wonderful friends, Donna, that I made out of that office. Just, just people that I still adore. Um, yeah, all of them doing amazing things too. And and so it was in that space where somebody came in, somebody just, I had been a philosophy major in college, and kind of felt like this thing of, now that I'm out looking for my place in the world, my job, I kind of felt, and I always thought I was going to go to law school. Um, but, I was like, whatever. And so very idealistic at the time, because of course, that's what young people, we do, right? And so this woman comes in and she is talking about a training consortium, and it was for radio talk show hosts. And at the time, I don't know if it was Russ Limbaugh who was big or whoever it was, but they were going to do, as part of a settlement, WJMO and all these other radio stations, for some fraudulent stuff that they did as far as minority contracts. There was this big thing available for radio talk show training, to do a training consortium. And I was like, whoa, like I could do that. I was like thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I think, and I think everybody should be able to hear what the heck I'm thinking about, right? Whatever. I was just like, oh, I want to do that. And so when I first go down to the training thing, I go in, and there was all these other people that were there also training or wanting to have a show on these airways, on WJMO's airways. And I remember, as much as I wanted to be on, the woman that was running it was like looking at me like, yeah, no way. She didn't say to me, no way, but it was, I saw all these other people getting shows, and I was not one of them, right? And so I sat on, I used to stand outside of the radio station, especially on days when it was bad outside, because what would happen is that the people who did have shows, if their guests didn't show up, whether because it was snowing or because it was raining or because they didn't schedule or because whatever happened, when they didn't have a guest, they would have nothing to talk about. So I would literally go down there and sit in the parking lot in my car. And usually people show up about 10 minutes before it's time to do their show. I would open up my umbrella, or I get out there in my car, and I would stand by the door. Literally stand by the door. Oh wow. I just see comments that are coming up. Look at this. I just saw comments coming up, y'all. Like Mike said, he's putting my plate on his table. Good morning, Denise. I'm sorry, these just popped up, and they're saying they happened 32 minutes ago, 6 minutes ago. And Darilia, I will tell you what book it is as soon as I figure out which book you're asking me about. I named off a number of them so far, so I'll think about it. I don't know. So I would literally get out of my car and stand by the door and wait. Like if when I saw the host come out to go in the thing, cause if you sit in your car and you just wrote, they don't stop and, listen to you. They busy trying to run inside. So I would go stand by the door. And do you have a guest? Do you need a guest? Do you need a guest? Do you need a guest? And I would do that for everybody, because otherwise they have to sit there and try to get people to call in, because if they don't have a guest, they sometimes didn't have a show, because, everybody don't talk like I do, right? They don't have this ability to jump around. They just sitting there saying, giving out the phone number 20 times, right? They give out the phone number and asking people, like begging people to call in. And I'm like, do you have a guest? I'm here, right? And I would just do that for, for whoever. And they would ask me, well, what do you want to talk about? Whatever you want to talk about. And if you don't have something to talk about, I'll leave, right? I didn't care. I was doing that. And so that was when that first started. And then they put me on a show with, I forgot the brother's name, but there was a guy who was all about drug and alcohol and people that were coming out, recidivism and all of that stuff. I didn't even know anybody that had been to jail at the time. And so I had a really hard time sitting in on that brother's show. And then Marafu Ojo, who had 1,000,000 Strong, I would be a guest on his show. And that was how I originally got to know Nina Turner, because we sat in on a show together. And, there were all of these people who, that were all a part of this thing. And we were just struggling together to show up. And so after a while, people actually started requesting me. I got to the point where, I was on so many shows and talking so much that people were listening for me and looking for me. And so I got a slot finally. I got a slot on a Sunday. And then, that slot changed but I had, after a while, especially after I got a show, it was like, they kept me on. Even when they began to cut down hours, I was still on the air. I was still there. And it was just one of those things that was, just worked out that way. So this idea that, things just happen. We don't always see the stuff that happened in the past that brings us to this point. And so when I'm thinking about how some of this stuff works, it works in very intriguing ways. My first show was called Let's Relate in Love. And it went from being a show about singles to one about a personal empowerment. Then I started teaching classes, and I went from this place to that place to another place. It was just always something, right? It's always been something. And so this idea that, that first off, that we need to figure out, when I say surrender to the process, what do you want? And then just surrender to that process. It's amazing when you just like, okay, let me see what God has for me, instead of trying to control it and make it be what I think it ought to be. Because if it was, I don't know about you, right? Because here's what some people will say. Some people will say, oh, I got an image in my mind. I got this destination, and I got to, and it's got to be this way and it's got to be that way. And I see people get burnt out. Do you know the rate of suicide for ministers, or the number of people that get burnt out and say that they just can't anymore? Or the people who will tell you, oh, I spend, it takes me 10 to 20 hours to write one sermon that's, people get burnt out because they're trying to step into an image that is not necessarily the one that God had for them. I don't know if this is making sense to y'all, but sometimes there is this wonderful something that is just for you, but because you believe that you got to control everything, you're busy wrestling up against what might flow naturally out of the gifting that you have. I don't know. I don't even know who that's for, but it's really an interesting concept when we learn how to just say yes to. And so many people will be like, yeah, I can't do it that way. I'm not doing it that way because of blah, 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 right? We got control issues. We have control issues. And so part of it is anyway, for me, this developing trust and just following, as Joseph Campbell would say, following my bliss. I know it doesn't seem to work for everyone, but I tell you, I if it got any better, I feel the love, I feel the blessing, I feel all of this stuff from being able to do what it is that I love. And I hope that you can find what it is that you love and then allow yourself to be guided to flow in that direction and let it be. It just I just think that it's so good. I think all of this stuff is so good in when you start thinking about how it flows. So Mike, I don't even know why you playing like you gonna put my plate on your table. You know what? And it's so funny because it's all of this stuff it's the way that it works, and that it works is the amazing part. It makes it so good and juicy. I love being able to talk about some of the experiences that I have had, so that you can relate that to the experiences that you are having, and recognize that this is I mean, it's just good. It's just good when you figure out how to do what it is that you love. Okay, so I know I've been I'm doing over my time, and I'm really trying to set up some different things. I got some different things going, and if you are not following me, please follow me. If you are on YouTube, please subscribe and hit the little bell so it'll remind you when I'm coming on. All of those things are good. I'm excited about what is to come. I'm always excited about what is to come. I'm anticipating what is to come. Let me see, what else do I have? Okay, so the books that I mentioned several, Darelia. I don't exactly know which one you were talking about, but Oprah Winfrey's book was What Happened to You. That is a excellent book. The other book is The Boy Who Was Raised by a Dog. That's by Dr. Perry, who did the book with Oprah, What Happened to You. How to Raise an Adult is one that I'm working on now, as well as the book darn it, where is it? What Happened to You? The Boy Who Was Raised by a Dog. Call Us What We Carry is the book by Amanda Gorman. And it seems like I've got another book that I am reading as well. All of those books, they're psychology, psychiatry, and nature. And I don't know that I mentioned any other books on here today. But I certainly know that I mentioned all of those, and A Course in Miracles, which I'm always doing. It just depends on what you want. I always have some book that I'm working on, and some good book recommendation. I can't ever, recommend Marianne Williamson enough, depending upon where you are on your spiritual journey. Her Return to Love, A Return to Love, is what literally changed my life. I tell people that all the time. Because it did. It did. A Return to Love. And the Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes is fabulous. It just depends on what you want. And if you have the Libby app on your phone, if you don't, download it. And it is really easy to listen to books while you're driving. Just pay attention to where you're going, or chart your course out, because I have gotten so lost in books. I have literally ended up in different cities. I used to listen to books while I was driving to Akron, and would sometimes wind up in Canton and be like, what the heck? Like, what the heck am I doing? Because I get absorbed in a story or storyline. I talked about the TV show Blood Origins on here today. And and It Didn't Start With You. I can't recommend that book enough, by Mark Wolin. That was really good. It's just some amazing books. Anatomy of the Spirit. There's so many amazing books out here that if you just open them up. And sometimes, the wonderful thing too is God, what would you have me see in this? What would you have me learn? And sometimes you don't even have to read the whole book. Is open it up and just let it speak to you. And then sit with the thought. Don't walk away. Don't look away. Just, allow it to minister to you. Just like this, a perception is a mirror, not a fact. What you see is what I see is my state of mind. It's another way of saying you don't see things as they are, you see things as you are. And so when Dr. Perry in this book, The Boy Who Was Raised by a Dog, talked about the trickiness of the memory, it's like, oh, that makes so much sense. To understand how the brain works and how it makes sense of ideas and how our ideas change over time. It makes sense. So if you just allow yourself to open up something and allow it to minister to you, it is a beautiful thing that unfolds. And so I appreciate all of you. I appreciate being able to share the blessings that I receive from all of this stuff, whether it's based on my reading or based on just what flows through me. I'm so eternally grateful. So yeah, whatever it is, let it transform you. Before I let y'all go, I want to just hit up my thing on my phone, because my screen is frozen and I see that I have more comments here, and I want to be able to make sure I've acknowledged you guys, everybody, and their comments. Ooh, okay, so Ernest Holmes. Okay, so hey Linda, how you doing? Am I speaking somewhere this Sunday? No, I will be just here online at 1:00. Reverend David and I are supposed to meet and talk about my schedule at Renaissance Unity, so I will keep you posted on that. The red book, this is my Kindle. So it's not a book, actually. It is a collection of books. I probably got 100 books on that Kindle. So Ernest Holmes wrote The Science of Mind, but the one that Raymond quoted out of today, let me see if I can tell you which one that was. Reverend Raymond, because one of the things that Reverend Raymond did is that he basically, most people just quote out of the Science of Mind book, but Reverend Raymond seems like he had such a depth in the the Ernest Holmes books that he was exposed to, that he was basically drawing out of stuff that is like, oh, is that an Ernest Holmes book? And this his book that he was quoting out of is What Religious Science Teaches, which was really good. So okay, so I answered that, the red book. Okay, she'll call me. Mike, that's so funny. I don't eat meat, right? So, but like I said, keep it loose. Don't assume that you know what that person across from you is supposed to look like, right? Just keep it loose. Denise, blessings to you, major blessings to you. And so I appreciate all of y'all for being here. Even the usual folks. I know that Bill will drop in later, Ruth will drop in later, Winnie, all of y'all. I love y'all. Sending blessings to you, and I look forward to continuing this. I'll be here tomorrow. Tomorrow, is another free flow day. And then on Sunday at 1. So blessings to you, right? And the funny thing is that if you are anything like me, when you hear something, sometimes just jot it down, because sometimes if it resonates with you, it's for you, but you got to breathe into it. You got to let it sit with you and see how it informs how you see things, or what else it has for you. All right, so I love y'all, and I will see you on tomorrow, God willing. All right, be blessed, and yes, have a fabulous Friday. Friday is my day.